That's right, it's a 1970 Hemi Superbird 4-speed car in the rafters of his shop. Hey everyone, so I'm here after Hot Rod Power Tour 2023 visiting a friend of mine, and I actually had visited him before. Some of the pictures and video will be from his shop on a previous visit, I think in 2017, and I never did any video when I was here, but I wanted to document something so special. I came back on my way home, and here we go. I'm going to turn this around and show you what he's got. Alright, so this is the shop where they work on a bunch of projects, including, that is a real 1 of 250 built Dodge Bighorn semi-trucks. And it's actually rarer than what we're about to see, technically. In the rafters of his shop is a 1970 Hemi Superbird. And it is a real Hemi, it's a real 4-speed. I don't think it's the original engine. I'll ask the owner and put it in the description or in the, below here. But he's in a heavy equipment repair guy. He works on semis. You can see some of them out there, and obviously this one, and old tractors, and I'll show what's over there in a second. But so they're always working on here, and the Superbird's in the way. So they built this rafter setup, and they took one of his heavy-duty forklifts and they put it up there out of the way for safekeeping. The son, who is here, he actually has a picture of the car being put up there, which I'll probably add at either right after this or at the end, so keep watching. But I'm not crawling up there this time. I'm going to do some drone. I did some drone video because the son was kind enough to take the cover off and open up the hood. And I went up there last time and got some pictures, but real quick, I mean, these guys know how to weld and do, so they built this cool setup to keep it safe. But when was the last time you looked underneath a 70 Hemi 4-speed Superbird like this? I mean, that is just... I can't really see the engine because of the paneling, but you can see it's a little crusty. It's not perfect, but at least it's safe and out of the weather and dry, unlike so many that we see. And it's funny, so we were flying the drone around and I'm like, oh, there's a license plate on the car. He goes, I don't know whose license plate that is. We probably just threw it on there. So random license plate just thrown on the car for giggles. But I mean, that is just, I've been sitting here for a few minutes talking with the owner, and it's so cool to check it out. I mean, of all the Superbird finds and all the Daytonas and all that, there's some very sad ones, and then there's some like really cool stuff, and this is definitely one of them. And then I'll show you what's over on the other side here, just in one cut. Okay, and here it is. A real 1968 LO23 Hemi Dart, and it is just across from the Hemi Superbird. This last run in 2016 before it started knocking and the owner tucked it away, so it hasn't been sitting that long, 8 years, 7 years, but it is a real Hemi Dart. Can't miss that engine. And you can see taking it to car shows and such. A little bit of oil on it. Was raced up until the 70s, I believe. But I'm not going to go in because there's stuff in the way. But I have pictures of it when I was here last time. This all wasn't here. I got some really crazy pictures of the interior that I'll show. But you can see whoever had it really liked their psychedelic interiors, because it doesn't get any crazier than that, and the paint job is really awesome. That is just so cool. And yes, the owner is a good guy. I will not share who he is, but if people know, I will delete the post, so keep it civilized, because he's kind enough to let me document all of his cool stuff. But real Hemi Dart. and a real Hemi Superbird. And I think I'm gonna go dig here in a second and look for a TheAutoArchaeologist that's in the field next to the property, and then I'll show you. There's birds. Give a close-up of the bighorn real quick. This one had a Hemmings in it. I love those badges. The Dodge diesel badge. Hey guys. So very cool. Next up, TheAutoArchaeologist. So funny story. I went and saw this Superbird for the second time right after the Hot Rod Power Tour. And at the beginning of Hot Rod Power Tour, I was using my drone, which I'm using here, and flying it around an abandoned railroad bridge and an abandoned old car bridge on a friend of mine's property. When I did the first one, it went no problem, went through the train bridge, came back. On the second one, though, something happened on the way back. The drone weirded out, ended up in the river. I had to dive in and get it. But from the entire Hot Rod Power Tour, every day I would order a little piece to fix it while going through the Power Tour. I had it delivered to my hotels every day. Fortunately, my friend Bill at Flatbroke Garage, he had tools, and we were able to take it apart, clean it, blow it out, dry it, and I got it back together well enough to be able to do this video of the Superbird, because that was the whole plan. I had the drone. I had never done quite this kind of work before, but the entire outcome for the trip was this was my last day of work. So the drone had to be working. Otherwise, a lot of my planning and anxiety over what was going on would end in failure. But it worked. I was able to take it apart during the tour, rebuild it. It had broken a few pieces. I'll show in probably a future video what I got from the memory card when it entered the river. But I was so happy when this thing was flying around this gentleman's big building, and it only had a little bit of an issue. You'll see a little bit of a wobble in some of the spots, but otherwise it worked flawlessly. And it allowed me the opportunity to go around and see this Superbird at a completely different perspective than I did the first time I saw it, which was we climbed up into this balcony rafters area, and I could only get to the front area and shoot like the engine. But this allowed us to fully see, except for of course the far side, the car. Because the last time this had been off of these beams had been about 5 years. I think it was pre-COVID. And you'll see here in the pictures later, the way they got the car up here was he's a heavy equipment operator, so he just used his huge forklift with, some rigging to put it up there. And this really showcases how he did it and how high it is. I mean, this is not just a few feet off the ground. I mean, it is way up there. And this gives you a little bit better perspective of how it's laid out with the Hemi Dart on the one side, the Bighorn, and then the Hemi Superbird on the left. When I first saw this barn in 2017, it's actually normally underneath a cover. So you walk in and it was basically camouflaged. And fortunately enough, the owner and his son and a friend went up and uncovered it for me so I could do this video, because there is nothing quite like it, to say the least. When that cover rolled off and there's a 70 Hemi 4-speed Superbird, it's unlike anything else. I still think about this situation because I found cars in churches, I found cars in old like corn cribs, I found cars in really weird situations, but like up in the rafters of a guy's shop, that's just a whole nother level. And it makes me appreciate that the owner and his family allowed me the opportunity to document this car to such a degree, and they were so kind and generous with their time and their ability to share this with me. All right, my friend Coda, I actually walked right by it. You never would have known in this kind of growth. Yeah. But here it is. A real black, looks like I'm black, TheAutoArchaeologist in his father's woods. Well buried, to say the least. But not much left, unfortunately. But you can see the fender. The 1/4 real good. So, I mean, black interior TheAutoArchaeologist. I mean, hopefully when I get back here, hopefully in the winter, I'll get a little bit better view, but that is cool. It was really cool when I posted the video of the TheAutoArchaeologist sitting in the yard on my social media. A gentleman by the name of Bob Upton actually had pictures of the car from 20, 30 years ago when he had visited it, and all these cars. And I talked to the owner of the property. This field where these cars are sitting used to be used for cattle. They used to graze and keep it all under control. But sometime around the 80s or 90s, they stopped having cattle on the property, and the wildlife and everything just took off. In some of the pictures you'll see, there's deer running through the valley, there's turkeys. The Hemi Superbird, though, talking to the owner, what had happened was there had been an ad in Hemmings back in the 80s, and it was him as the third person in line to buy the car. It was at a used car dealership in Findlay, Ohio. The first two people fell through, and he went and got it. He drove it for a bit, and then life gets in the way. He had this Hemi Dart, which he drove and went to some of the famous Fred Engelhart shows up in Minnesota. But he's actually restoring another Superbird, a 446-pack Superbird, as we speak. So after that, who knows? Maybe he'll get to the Hemi Superbird and the Rafters. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video from my friend's barn or structure that he stores his Superbird in, and the Hemi Dart and a few other little trinkets, to say the least. I know people don't like me saying that. I tried to cut down, but I've been in the garage the last few nice days working on the green car a little bit, and unfortunately, the blue car, because the Challenger, the blue one, is not back yet. They are just now diagnosing it, and it's Wednesday before I leave for Mopars tomorrow in a rental, because I don't trust that in a 7-hour drive right about now, even though it hasn't given me any issues other than the coolant smell coming from the vents. Not looking forward to that one. But I hope to see you guys at Mopars. By the time this gets released, I'll be home. But I hope to see you all there. It should be a great time. It always is. Next week, literally the weekend following this drop, I'll be at the Jefferson Swap Meet in Building 2 again. I'll be selling my book and talking to people and doing shenanigans. Hopefully finding a few parts for that car, because I need them. Looking for a back bumper and some other trim pieces. So we'll see. So if you guys have any comments or questions, let me know below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week. Stay safe.